Hello. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. So I will be your moderator today. My name is Miko. I'm from the Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific. So today's training is entitled Open Field Mapping Tools for Individual and Coordinated Projects. We are joined together today with Ms. Faye Andal and Ms. Susmina Manandar. We will be starting very shortly, but before we do, some rules that I would like to lay out to everyone. So, for security reasons, we are going to set the webinar into where participants will be muted along the way. So, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box. Feel free to type any opinion, comment, questions there, and I will be moderating the questions and I will be asking Miss Faye and Miss Susmina later on in some portions of their webinar session. Secondly, this is a safe space and is coordinated through the HOT Code of Conduct. So please be respectful. Please be kind to one each other and make sure that this is a safe space. Thirdly, for those who will be asking, the whole session is going to be recorded. There will be certificates for everyone, and the slides of Miss Faye and Mrs. Mina will be shared to everyone after the training. So, also to avoid interrupting our speakers, please do not raise your hand accidentally or intentionally since everyone is on mute. So please just drop your questions, comments in the chat box. When you raise your hand, the speakers gets your attention, so they might get distracted in their presentation. So I hope everyone is comfortable right now and sit back, relax, and let us enjoy the presentation by Miss Faye and Mrs. Mina. So before we proceed, I will just go through some notes. So the reason why we have this training because it is a part of a 7 series training on tech, open data, open geospatial. Because we would want to link or provide a workflow or an idea of that workflow from end user to end user. So depending on different use cases and depending on the availability of type of sensors, the technology, the humans involved, the mapping process can take many forms. So it can come into different points of the workflow wherein you could map through satellite imagery, you can map through mobile phones, or you can map through field mapping tools. But strongly, it is simplified most often as a combination of the different steps and processes to produce map data. Often, the first step is the acquisition of real world reference data. So, how do we collect that real world data? And this can be done in different forms. Like I mentioned, it can be gathered through satellites, aerial platforms, ground-based cameras, GPS devices, but also mobile provider data to collect insights and information on the ground or remotely. Alternatively, through the acquisition of this existing map data, HOT or the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, for example, often starts the mapping process with satellite imagery, like what we usually do when mapping buildings, roads, land use, or drone imagery that we acquire through partners or ourselves. This imagery, so I'm going to, when you look at the whole training series, so the whole training series brings us to a workflow wherein we show to everyone how data is collected from available drone imagery, how it is processed remotely and mapped using OpenStreetMap through ID Editor, JOSOM, Tasking Manager, and MapSwipe for Web. Um, there are also ways that are able to digitize or produce this data through semi-automatic means like AI-assisted mapping through the use of Rapid or FAIR. And right now, our session today would be on individual and coordinated mapping using open field mapping tools. So our focus for today would be different available tools that you could use in the field individually as you go on out there by yourself or coordinatedly with a group of people through a project, etc. So after this training, we hope you could still join our other future trainings with this tech data series. We will be accessing and visualizing open map data, introducing basic QGIS analytics using that data that we've collected or produced, and then look at some specific use cases scenarios on QGIS or open GIS tools, for example, flooding, landslide, or land tenure. So basically, this workflow that we have for this coming weeks, will be an end-to-end case wherein anyone actually could come and enter that workflow and collect, produce, and analyze that data. So I will be passing the floor now to Miss Faye Andal to start the training. Faye, are you there?
Hello.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Faye. So welcome on board and good luck.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Yan. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Miss Faye.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start with the session on open field mapping tools, which also involves individual and coordinated mapping. So first of all, thank you, Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific, for inviting us to be with you today for discussing different tools that we can use for different use cases as well. So my name is Faye Andal. I'm based in Manila, Philippines. So I'm currently a volunteer of OpenStreetMap Philippines and also serving as a regional ambassador for Youth Mappers. And I'm also volunteering for HOT for different mapping and validation activities. Okay, so to start, um, has anyone here experienced using mobile app? So I'm sure, yes. Okay, thank you for raising your hands. So yeah, I think a lot of here in the audience has experienced already using mobile applications because these are convenient, very easy to use, and very easy to access also from our devices. So mobile data collection has revolutionized our mapping because this empowers local communities like us that are part of different small groups or different communities from the OpenStreetMap network or even open mapping network with different tools or accessible tools that are tailored to different diverse or different resource limitations or survey requirements and even environmental conditions. And these mobile data collection applications can enable or enhance local people with by actively participating in different mapping efforts using different tools that are suited to unique and different circumstances. And it can also overcome barriers posed by resource limitations like financial resources or time or different survey needs and varying environmental contexts. And in mobile data collection, there are different types of activities that we can do. So first is digital survey and mapping. So this apps or these activities provides digital platforms for conducting surveys through our machine or mobile devices. And also we can map geographical features also using our mobile devices now. And if you want also to collect near or real-time data, we can also do that by using our mobile phones for that kind of activity. And also if we want to analyze or visualize data, we can also employ or utilize these tools. So overall, digital phones in general can enhance the efficiency and accuracy of our mapping projects. And another activity that we can also do using our phone is to track our GPS. Okay, so since our phones currently has the capability of the GPS technologies, so that we can track, we can record precise locations during our data collection activities. And it can enable creation of detailed maps with a high accuracy of geospatial information that are essential for different applications such as navigation and other data management. And another data collection activity that we can also perform is a street level imagery using our phones. Not only phones, but if you have digital cameras as well, we can also utilize it for our data collection. So for this type of activity, we can use a mobile camera or even other types of camera to be able to capture street level image for different mapping purposes. So this could enhance the richness and the detail of our maps because we incorporate visual data that could improve the overall usability and the comprehensiveness of our different mapping project. So to summarize, mobile data collection can empower us in the community to contribute to different open mapping initiatives because of the availability of the different tools that are also suitable for our different needs that could enhance or foster collaboration among different communities. And the successful implementation of the mobile data collection activities also requires careful planning and consideration of various logistical aspects so that we can ensure efficiency and effectiveness of our data collection process. So, of course, it depends on different aspects like for example, the when of your data collection. So you have to consider the optimal time frame for your data collection activities and consider factors such as weather conditions or the seasonal variations of your area and of course your project deadline. So you need to establish your deadline for different phases of data collection because after data collection, we also have to understand that we also have to process and clean the data just in case there is a need for that. And later on to analyze the data sets that we have collected from the ground. So we have to consider all those phases of activities so that you can integrate it into the whole process. And aside from the time frame, you also have to consider the where or the area of interest of your data coverage. So you have to consider first how do you transport your people or even yourself to that specific location. So you have to understand or determine the most efficient and most cost effective way of transportation for you and for your team to access the data collection site or your area and consider different factors as well, such as distance, the terrain of your area, and also some infrastructure that are accessible in those locations. And also, if we are coordinating a team for the project, we have to assign specific areas for specific people so that we can also ensure that we cover all parts of the mapping. And lastly, we have to consider the methodology or the steps that we have to take to be able to successfully deploy our teams and also to implement our whole data collection activities. Okay, and also another important aspect that we have to take in mind or to consider is that we have to assess or if we need to procure any equipment that are needed for data collection, we have to consider it beforehand, before our actual data collection process, so that we can buy or procure additional equipment for us. So if you would need more GPS devices, then good. But if you are capable of using your smartphones or your cameras during your data collection, then that would be good. And lastly, you have to consider your data management as well. So we have to establish a robust and efficient data management system so that you are able to analyze or store, organize, and analyze your collected data efficiently and securely, so that you are enabling or ensuring the integrity and compatibility of your data sets that you've collected. Okay, so we have to consider all these factors to ensure the success of your data collection initiatives. And in data collection, project management is very crucial for the success of the project. So you have to ensure that you are clear with your goals, your objectives, your outcomes, so that it can provide also a clear direction for your efforts in data collecting. And also, to if ever you're working with a stakeholder or a local community, you have to communicate with them what your goals are. And then, as mentioned earlier, you have to establish a clear and defined workflow and some protocols if ever you're working with a team, outlining the sequence or types of activities that you are to implement, the specific roles of each person or team, and some technologies or techniques that you have to use, and some QA processes or the quality assurance measures, and some procedures to report with your team. And for the device, again, you have to select the most suitable device based on your data collection requirements. So if it has to be on an updated Android version, you have to procure that kind of device as well, because some other applications would require most updated Android version as compared to other applications that would need a lower version, or it can work on their devices. And consider also factors on your mobile devices, if they could record or capture high accuracy of GPS locations. And also, if you're looking into collect images for your survey, you have to consider the quality of your phone camera and also your battery life, so that we can ensure a smooth and efficient data collection process. And if in case you need different options for your uploading of your collected data, then you have also to be prepared with that. If you need to prepare a central database or an offline data storage that could help you with storing your data sets, then that would also be great if you're working with a huge number of people as well. And this is very important to have always have a contingency plan. Okay, so anticipate potential challenges and possible setbacks during data collection activities, and please develop contingency plans so that we can mitigate the risks and ensure the continuity of the data collection activities, and also minimize the disruptions of the project. So, for example, if you're relying mostly on mobile phones, so you have to consider the battery life, the storage, etc. So, what happens if, in case your battery runs out, they have a power bank, or they have enough storage, or even they also consider using paper maps so that you can also continue your mapping just in case these devices will not work, just in case. So you have to consider those kinds of challenges when collecting data on the ground. And also assess or evaluate whether a mobile data collection process is the most appropriate approach for achieving your project goals, considering factors as well, such as complexity of the data you have to collect or accessibility of the target areas. So just in case if you want to collect data in a very remote area where it's impossible to bring people there, so you have to reassess whether data collection on the ground is the best way to do it. And some other constraints like technological infrastructure or even money or time constraints. So we have to consider all these factors to ensure a successful and efficient data collection activities. And in this slide, we are showing different key features of the mobile applications that can help us make an informed decision on which application to use for our data collection activities. So in this matrix, we highlighted the key features of the applications. And from here, I think ODK, if you're familiar with Open Data Kit, this quite stand out for its robust form customization, because in Open Data Kit, we have to create our own forms, survey forms, just like Google Forms, if you're familiar with it. So it's almost similar to that, but you can create your own form and use it for offline data collection activities. It's also quite similar with how Kobo Toolbox works, but Kobo offers more comprehensive tools for humanitarian projects. And then we also have organic maps, which also excel in outdoor mapping with very detailed offline maps, because we can pre-install or pre-download the base map beforehand. And then GoMap provides us with a direct editing for OpenStreetMap. So the downside here is GoMap is only available for iOS. And then we also have OSM Tracker here, which is very ideal for contributing GPS tracks or even recording GPS tracks. And OSMAND is also a great tool that offers comprehensive offline navigation features. And then Mapillary here focuses on capturing street level images. Okay, so consider this mobile applications for your projects if you have specific features that these apps outlined here. There are a lot of applications that are not mentioned here, like QField. What else? I think I've also missed, did not include here Maps.me, but they are also good in adding objects to your map or saving places to your map. But these are just some of the tools that I want to highlight in this session. But you can feel free to explore more on the different applications, because there's a lot of applications available. There's also one called Merging Maps. It also functions similarly with QField, wherein you can also create your own project using QGIS and then integrate it with your mobile application. So while this applications have their unique strengths and also maybe disadvantages, it's also important to note that they can also complement each other in certain scenarios. So for example, ODK and ODK customizable forms can be used for data collection, while OMK's Open Map Kit's integration with OpenStreetMap or ODK can also enhance the geographic data accuracy of your survey forms. Additionally, combining, for example, OSM Android or OSM And, or even OSM Tracker, offline navigation with Mapillary's street level imagery can also provide comprehensive mapping solutions. So for example, if you're using a different camera for your Mapillary data collection, and then you want to use a more reliable app for GPS tracking like OSM Tracker, then you can use both to to have those information as well. So by understanding and leveraging the strengths of the multiple applications, we can create synergistic workflows that are tailored to our specific mapping needs. Okay, so let's discuss one by one so that we can discuss more the features or the highlights of each app. So I will not do a step-by-step instruction on how to use it, but just cover what the key features are. Okay, so we have survey apps. So this includes Open Data Kit, Open Map Kit, Kobo Toolbox, Organic Maps, GoMap, and Everydoor. So these applications offer diverse feature for data collection, for surveying. So ODK provides customizable forms for online survey, and OMK or Open Map Kit can integrate geographic data collection in your ODK. And we can also integrate base maps that can be pre-downloaded beforehand, or that can be pre-downloaded and use it so that the surveyors can use the satellite imagery for offline use cases. And then Kobo Collect or Kobo Toolbox offers comprehensive tools for surveying and also for humanitarian projects. And then Organic Maps focuses again on outdoor mapping with offline capabilities, because we can pre-download the base map or the data from OpenStreetMap. And then GoMap allows direct editing for OpenStreetMap, and Mapillary provides street level imagery for, no, not Mapillary, but Everydoor provides us with the capability of adding POIs and also mapping building in OpenStreetMap. Okay, so we can choose among these apps that depend or that best fits the survey needs and also the field conditions for more efficient data collection and analysis. So ODK or the Open Data Kit it's a free and open source set of tools which can help organizations manage mobile data collection solutions. I think this will be discussed more later, but I think HOT also helps with the development or the maintenance of Open Data Kit and Open Map Kit. Okay, so here you can access this if you have your mobile device and you have a specific data model that you're following for your data collection. Okay, so you can use this if someone from your team is comfortable in creating the forms before your actual data collection process. And Open Map Kit, it's an extension of the Open Data Kit. So it allows users to add geographic coordinates that could support their survey data collection. So this is also free and open source. And it also provides a way to record and submit information in the field based on OpenStreetMap. So you can visit the website openmapkit.org. Kobo Collect, it's also one of the tools that we can use for survey data collection. And it also has a web application that could help us create our forms and also visualize the data collected from the field and analyze information based on the data collected from the field. So this also allows for data management and storage through the online platform. And again, we can create forms through the web app itself and deploy it using on our mobile. So the catch here is Kobo Collect is only available for Android, but they have also developed a group developed a similar application called GIC Collect that works for the Kobo Collect servers and also I think ODK also. And Organic Maps, this one is an open source, also a community developed map application. Its main use is for navigation actually, because it's more suited for travelers because of its rendering capabilities for surveyors, for hikers, for cyclists, and they also offer worldwide offline maps based on OpenStreetMap data. And currently, they have no location tracking. They don't also collect information from the users that, of course, access the mobile app. And the advantage of this is that it has no ads. So no annoying ads that pop up every time you add a feature or something like that. And its advantage also is that it's available for both Android and iOS devices. And if you're familiar with Maps.me, so it has actually their UI is quite similar, because the creators of um, this application is also developed by the creators of Maps.me, but this one is open. And then GoMap, I'm not sure if you've heard of this before, but GoMap is an iOS application that allows us to digitize information directly to OpenStreetMap. So it's not just for POI mapping, but we can also map buildings, areas here using these applications. So if you have an iPad, an iPhone, then I think this is a good alternative for editing directly to OpenStreetMap other than the ID editor. So you can also add POIs, of course, aside from the ways and areas. And it can also track your location. Actually, it has a huge improvement from the previous version. So now it can track your location, and you can actually export the GPS tracks later on. And then if you're into OpenStreetMap and have tried creating notes, this also has the capability of creating notes or even resolving notes. So it's like a mobile version of ID editor. So you can try it out if you have time later on. And then Everydoor. So this is a more recent application developed by Ilya. So Ilya is a very active contributor in the OpenStreetMap community, and he has thought of creating an app or developing an app focused on POI mapping. So this is also tagged as the king of POI app. So here you can add nodes, or you can add points of interest, and also another use case for Everydoor is that you can also conduct micro mapping activities. So by micro map, these are objects like the flagpoles, the street lights, and benches, and so on. So anything that are considered as micro objects, you can do it here. And you can also add more information into the buildings using Everydoor. So you may check it out if you want to explore more on these survey applications. So they have different features or main applications. So it depends on you on what specific needs do you have for your data collection. And then for tracking, so this includes OSM Tracker, OSM and Mapillary, because these applications offer diverse functionalities for location tracking and also data contribution. So OSM Tracker is geared towards contributing GPS traces to OpenStreetMap, but you can also use it for other use cases. And then OSM provides comprehensive offline navigation features. And then, of course, Mapillary focuses more on capturing street-level images. And of course, it needs GPS tracks to be able to geotag its photos. Okay, so OSM Tracker, so this is actually inspired by OSM Tracker for Windows Mobile. And it allows us to track our journeys So it can mark waypoints with tags, with voice record, and even photos. So it's not just about collecting GPS, but you can also integrate other data for your GPS tracking. So this can also be exported in GPX format so that you can use it with other tools or integrate or import it with other tools like QGIS, like other GIS applications, or even OSM applications like JOSM. And you can also directly upload the data from here to OpenStreetMap. Okay, so tracks can be displayed over also an OSM-based map or background, or with no background if you don't have a data plan on during the data collection process. So that's also fine. Okay, and OSM and is also one of the apps that is capable of collecting GPS tracks or recording GPS tracks when during navigation. So aside from GPS tracks, it also has global offline map browsing similar to organic maps. So you can use it if you have no data later on during your field data collection process. And the good thing about OSM Ant is it's available for both Android and iOS devices. But take note that OSM Ant also has a lot of features that sometimes it can also overwhelm users like me, honestly, because it has a lot of available features. So it can get overwhelming. But for me, OSM and is also best for collecting GPS tags. And if you're also into, for example, if you're biking or if you're cycling or if you're driving, this is very good when navigating because it offers voice navigation, turn-by-turn navigation. So it could help you with during your actual data collection process. And then Mapillary. So if you're in the OSM community, I'm sure you've heard of Mapillary. So this is a platform for street level imagery collection. But aside from the collection of images of GPS tracks, it also helps the users scales and automates mapping because aside from the data or from the photo being collected and the GPS tracks being collected, they can detect the map objects from the collected photos. So they use AI, of course, to be able to know which of the objects from the photo are fire hydrants, are street lamps, are benches, etc. So it also adds more, or it gives us map data out of the photos that we collect from the ground. But the GPS tracks can also be is also collected from the Mapillary platform. So this one is developed by or acquired by Meta around I think 2017 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there are again as mentioned are wide um, mobile applications available for us. And it is, we have to know or to take note that these mobile applications offer versatile solutions for data collection, for mapping, for analysis, for navigation, and it's up to our user needs and preferences of which among the applications to choose for our data collection activities. And choosing the right application depends on our project requirements, if in case we're working on a team. But if you're working independently, it depends on which specific data we want to collect. If you're just collecting POI, maybe Everydor is the best app to use. Or if we have a specific data model to collect, then maybe you have to make an effort in creating your survey form so that it can minimize the errors that you can encounter later on. So the best app to use for that is Kobo or even ODK or OM2. And then again, aside from the technical requirements, you also have to consider the actual field conditions. So if the condition, weather condition is, for example, rainy, of course, you have to reassess if you need or you have to continue with your data collection, and also the desired functionalities of the mobile applications that you need to use, so that we can ensure the efficiency and the effectiveness of our different mapping activities. And by leveraging and utilizing these mobile applications, we can also enhance our mapping capabilities. We can improve the map data that we are about to collect or that are existing already, and it could help us facilitate informed decision making for a wide range of applications or projects. So if you have oops, sorry. If you have any questions about the applications, or if you need more details, you can contact me anytime through my social media. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I think it's we can have it. Miko, right?
Yeah. I think this would be a good time for you to type in your questions via chat. Yes, Gladys, please feel free to put it on the chat. So far, Faye, we only have one question while you were, I think, just starting. It's about how about, are you familiar with SW Map?
Hmm.
And yeah,
It's my first time hearing about SW Map, but I'm looking into it right now. So it says here that SW Maps is also a GIS and data collector. So is this open source?
Abdul,
Yeah,
maybe
but
you
I have
could.
to look into it later on.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's my first time
I actually
hearing about
asked
this.
the participants while you were
Mm-hmm.
presenting, like there are a lot of apps that will not be mentioned in this webinar, but
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend them to chat it in the chat box so that other participants may also get to explore the multitude of apps that we have out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I don't think there are any questions so far, Faye. Maybe you'd like to ask them. No, just kidding. But I'll do post it or keep you posted if there are any questions directed for this part of the discussion. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. So maybe just to add, Miko,
Go ahead.
um, I haven't, I did not include in the presentation about because there are apps that tried to gamify the data collection to make it more fun, something like that. So, uh, the first that pops up into my mind is the Street Complete. So it's like a gamified version of data collection because it only asks a specific question on your map, and then you just have to answer it directly to the app, and it integrates the data with OpenStreetMap. So that's also a good application that you can use if you're feeling bored and you want to contribute to OpenStreetMap. And also map swipe, although this is not a field actual field mapping application, but it's a mobile app that can help with OpenStreetMap mapping, because it you just need to tap which specific tile contains specific objects that we need to identify. So we can just tap it using the app. So yeah, that's two additional applications that you can also explore later on if you have time. But yeah, thank you for mentioning SW Map, because I haven't encountered that before. So I look into it and see what advantages it has over different applications as well. Thank you, Abdul, for that.
So yeah, Faye. So before forwarding it to Susmina, so I'd like to also take note that some of these apps that you mentioned do not directly contribute the data that you're collecting to OpenStreetMap. So some of the apps that Faye mentioned stores it in a database or online or a server, and then you need to manually or upload it later onto OpenStreetMap. And some of the apps that Faye mentioned directly uploads the data to OpenStreetMap. So you need to also consider that when you're doing a mapping project. But I think with the shift of data collection or how we produce data for humanitarian purposes, it's more or less going towards these methods, these mobile apps that we mentioned, because remote mapping, pretty much there would be a point that we've remotely mapped all the buildings and roads all over the world or in the remote areas. But these data is the one that's kind of harder to collect. So we really encourage people to contribute through OpenStreetMap, through these mobile apps that you are seeing right now through Faye. So yes, thank you very much, Faye, for that overlook of all the apps that we have in the ecosystem. Mrs. Mina, are you ready for your session?
Yes, Miko, I'm all set.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. Uh, can we confirm if my screen is being shared?
Yes, your screen is available.
Sure. Thank you so much, Miko. Um, so hi everyone. I'm Susmina Manandar. I'm a project manager at Noxa. And before we dive into the coordinated mapping campaigns, tools, and whereabouts, thank you so much, Faye, for introducing all of those field mapping tools that you've introduced just before this presentation. So Faye has covered most of the stuffs regarding the mobile applications that we can use for an individual field mapping. That means you can just have the devices on your the apps on your mobile application, and you can just go out there and just start mapping individually. But what I will be covering in my presentation ahead would be more more of coordinated field mapping, that is field mapping amongst a large number of people or large group of people towards a certain objective. So thank you, Faye, for the overview. So without a delay, I just like to start with this presentation as well. So as I already said, I'm Susmina Mandar, and I'm currently working at Noxa. So just to give you all an overview of how Naxa and HOT is collaborating for the development of FMTM. So we at Naxa have been working with HOT for the development of the field mapping tasking manager that is owned by HOT since 2023. And this and it's I'm very grateful for have been given this opportunity to actually walk through the platforms that we've developed, conceptualized throughout the year. So yeah, I think I'll just start with the field mapping tasking manager. So the overall presentation today covers how was field mapping tasking manager born or conceptualized, why did we need to develop this field mapping tasking manager, and what are the different features that you can use from the FMTM, and what are the different application areas for the FMTM, and a few of the use cases and the deployments that we've done using the field mapping tasking manager. So just to give you all an overview, field mapping tasking manager is a web platform that integrates with ODK Collect mobile application for the coordinated field mapping campaigns. So before that, why do we need field mapping? Why do we want to do the field mappings? As Nicole also mentioned, there are lots of data sets that we have in the OSM database and all the different servers as well. But there are very few data sets um, that have a complete attributes to it, or let's say enough of details that we want to know about a certain feature. So this FMTM was also conceptualized to actually mitigate all of those constraints that we have for the data incompleteness and data accuracy and stuff. So Ivan Gayton, who is the senior humanitarian advisor at HOT, conceptualized FMTM, and with the help of the technical expertise from Rob, who is the senior technical lead, FMTM was finally born, or let's say like it was developed. So just would want to stick to the same context. So right now, if I suppose like most of us are familiar with the OpenStreetMap already, so the statistics mention that the OSM has over 10 million users. And out of those 10 million users, we have like more than 9 billion nodes that have been mapped in the database. But out of those 9 billion as well, only 232 million nodes have single tags. That means like out of all of those 9 billion, over 9 billion nodes, there are like few other nodes or maybe the features that still lack attributes. That means they have been mapped in OSM, but they do not have the complete data. Data in the sense, for example, if it's a building, it might have a name, it might have its purpose, it might have maybe contact number of the facility, etc. So I just like to give an example. So there's a map that you can see on the right side of my slide. So there's like lots of data sets from the OSM that we have. But out of all of these data sets, if you zoom into a certain location, then you can see very few of the features have their attributes named. For example, I've zoomed into this hospital, Sarvanga Hospital. So here, if you click on that Sarvanga Hospital, you can see what are the attributes associated to it. So it's saying that the name of the hospital is Sarvanga, the village boundary is Lalitpur, and the municipality boundary is this. The country boundary is Lalitpur, the state boundary is Bagmati province. So what it has is mostly it answers the questions like where is it located and what is the name of the facility associated to that building. But is it just enough for us? Is just the name of the facility and where it is located enough for us to serve like some purpose for the humanitarian aids or humanitarian campaigns that we run? Yes, of course. Like instead of having nothing, having them mapped do help us in to some extent. But if like just let's just take the example of the hospital. So if I have to like contact to that hospital, I don't have its contact number. I don't even know if there are any available beds in that hospital. I don't even know if there are like enough doctors or medical equipments that the hospital own. So like if we had all of these extra attributes associated to that building or maybe that facility, then I think that would give us like an additional advantage or additional data sets that will eventually help us in further different humanitarian activities. So that is why, and where do we get all of these attributes from? Like most of like the few of the attributes, for example, name can be um, maybe like filled in via the remote mapping tasking manager as well, only if you're the local around that area. But in order to have the contact number and all of those in-depth details, you will have to go into the field, ask a few personnel there and get the details. So that is why, and that is where the gaps can be seen, and these data gaps can be only fulfilled via field mapping. So field mapping is what is the next step after digitizing or maybe after remote mapping would be field mapping for us. So field mapping is basically going to the field and visiting the actual place and getting informations out of the observations, out of the queries that we ask to the people and what we see. So there are different field mapping tools, as we already have covered the ODK, OSM, and organic maps. But um, do we like have sufficient platforms or systems that help us in coordinating all of those field mapping tasks? For example, if you're an individual, you can just go roam around and start doing the field mapping. But if you have to maybe like do a survey of a locality, then it would take like maybe 5 to 6 other person to map the entire locality based on the area of the neighborhood or the locality. And it is not just the time. I think Faye also mentioned this on her presentation. It is not just about the time, it's also about how large the area is, what are objectives, what are our objectives for the field mapping, and how sufficient time, how much of sufficient time do we have. So the gap, what we see here is we need to do all of those stuffs for the coordinated field mapping, but do we have sufficient tools to tools that facilitate us for the coordinated mapping? So that is where there are very less number of web application tools that allow us to do all of those, like to do the overall managerial aspect of field mapping. And that is where field mapping tasking manager stands out. So just I mentioned, like there are like lots of roles when you actually conduct a field mapping campaign. So you might have a certain personnel who would want to manage the field mappers. There are themselves field mappers who are going into the field and getting all of those data sets. There should also maybe be like data validators who would actually validate all of those data sets coming from the field. So there are like different roles while we conduct field mapping campaigns. And the coordination between all of these roles are equally important to get like the accurate data and sufficient data. So that is where we've developed this field mapping tasking manager, which is a web application where you can create your own field mapping campaigns, field mapping projects, and then assign respective field mappers and validators to start with the field mapping activities. So this is like the overall conceptualization of what FMTM can do, and why do we want this web platform to be there. Now we can go deep dive into what makes FMTM unique and how can FMTM overcome all of those constraints that we've talked about while doing the field mapping campaign. So if you all are interested in visiting the field mapping tasking manager platform, you can just go to your browser and type in fmtm.hotosm.org. So it will land you in the landing page of the FMTM, where you can see the list of projects that have been used for the field mapping campaigns in various other regions. So I'll just walk through the step-by-step processes that highlights the features of FMTM throughout this presentation. So this would be the landing page of the field mapping tasking manager. So here what you can do is, let's say I would want to do a field mapping campaign around Cambodia, around an informal settlement in Cambodia. So the first thing what I would do is I would first um, allocate the project area where the field mapping campaign is gonna be done, and how big the area is gonna be, and how would I allocate the users or the field mappers to that area, and would the field mappers be sufficient enough for me to field map all of those areas or not. All of those activities before we actually do the field mapping campaigns can be done via FMTM here. So that almost covers all of those project management activities that Faye listed out in her presentation. What do we do and what are the steps we need to do before doing a field mapping? So here, if you visit the fmtm.hotosm.org, you land in this page, and what you see here is you can see the list of projects here and the location where these field mapping projects have been done in the map that's on the right side of the page. So in order to start with creating your own field mapping project, you can just click on create new project. So whenever you click on create new project, if you are not logged in, you'll be prompted to the login page. So FMTM also uses or maybe like FMTM also supports the login credentials of the OSM. So you can just log in via your OSM account to start creating a project in FMTM. So once you register or once you log into FMTM, then it takes you to the process of creating a project. So just before, so the overall scenario in FMTM is there are like certain steps that you would want to cover while you're creating a project. The first step being the project details. So it prompts you to this first page, step number 1, where you can add the details of your project. For example, your project name, the description, your objectives, and you can also add on instructions similar to the tasking manager whenever you're creating a project. And since FMTM is like an open source project, there can be multiple open source collaborators that would want to collaborate or contribute to this field mapping campaign. So you can add additional instructions and hashtags such that you would want to coordinate your field mapping campaigns. So this is the first initial page. You just add in your basic project details. So one of the major field or one of the crucial stuff here would be FMTM is built in ODK Central. So whatever projects or whatever data sets that that will be collected in FMTM would go into a ODK central database. So you will need to have an ODK credential. That means you can either use your own ODK central server details, or we've set up like an FMTM public beta version where any user who would want to use FMTM for a demo purpose can just select the organization name as FMTM public beta and use HOTS ODK credential to do the demo for now. So this is the first step you do in FMTM. The second step, now what you want to do is, so you've created your, so you've just assigned name to your project. Now the next step would be, you would want to upload an area or maybe select an area where you would want to do your field mapping campaign. So FMTM allows you two options. You can either just draw a freehand polygon to cover up the area of your field mapping campaign. You can just click, 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 click and draw a polygon to draw the AOI. Or if you already have a file, maybe you've just generated an AOI using QGIS or any other GIS tools, then you can just upload the file to FMTM and then it will just be visible on the map. So make sure the file is in GeoJSON format, and also the area limit is below 100 square kilometer. So this is the second step. So once you've already defined your project area, now you can go to the third option. So that is using the standard form templates or the upload customized forms. So Faye mentioned before, there are few applications that allow you to use custom forms, and there are like few applications that have like specific form fields that you can fill in. So here FMTM also allows you to either upload a custom form. So you can just create your own XLS form with relevant questionnaires that you would want to bring in from the field mapping campaign. Otherwise, FMTM also has has prepared some standard form templates, so that the users do not have to deal with the customization of XLS forms. So for a very beginner user, there are already sample of form templates that you can use. Otherwise, you can also just create an XLS form and upload it to the platform. So this is the third step, where you've already got your AOI and you've already got your questionnaires that you would want to map from the field. So the fourth one would be the OSM data extraction. So this is like this is what also separates FMTM from any other field mapping tools. Field mapping tools. So FMTM, you can actually use the data sets from data extracts from the OSM, and then take those data sets on your mobile applications and go out in the field and map. So basically what we are trying to do is, there are already data sets that have been mapped, there are already features that have been mapped in the OSM database. Now what we only want to do is add attributes to those specific data sets. So here what we are doing is, we are extracting the data extracts from the OSM database here, so that the user can just add in attributes to the same OSM datasets. So you can either also use the OSM data extracts, otherwise the user also have like the option to upload their own custom data extracts. For example, there are like some areas where it's not been mapped in OSM, then you can just first digitize via maybe QGIS or Tasking Manager or maybe any other tool, GIS tool, and then you can upload those custom data extracts into FMTM and then go out in the field and start mapping. So I think I'll connect this dot when we also incorporate the mobile application alongside FMTM. So this is the fourth method where we extract the data sets. And then the fifth one and the last would be, so we mentioned like the area could be very large, and there could be like lots of people in the campaign as well. So how do we divide the area for all of those users? So FMTM also supports three different types of splitting algorithms, where you can actually divide the area into specific number of tasks, or specific s- specific divisions. Like if you would want a smaller division, you can do it like a smaller divisions. Otherwise, you can also make a larger clusters based on the nature of your field mapping campaigns. So here, FMTM in FMTM, you can split the entire area into squares, into a number of squares, and you can, so that later on you can assign each square to each individual. So that is one way you can split the entire area. Otherwise, there is another approach in FMTM. There is a task splitting algorithm. So the task splitting algorithm, what it does is, it divides the entire area based on the existing road networks you have in the OSM database. For example, I think I've not added the screenshot for the task splitting algorithm, but in order to explain, so what it basically does is, for example, you would want a task that is splitted by roads. That means like if this is a road and you just want this particular area to be one task or one division, then you can use the splitting algorithm, where it divides the entire area based on the road networks or the river networks. And also what it does is, it just not divides randomly, it also like clusters based on the average number of buildings per task. For example, you're a project manager and you would want one surveyor to complete at least 15 to 20 buildings per day. Then what you can add is, you can choose the task splitting algorithm and write down 20 buildings per task here, and then click to generate task. Then what it does is, it divides the entire area as such. The tasks are splitted with 20 buildings per task. But that also depends on the data extract, if there's any data extracts within that area or not, and if there are any road networks that helps them to cluster based on the linear features or not. So you can try it out and let us know how it went for you guys as well. So that is how we've that is how like we've created a project for us. So we've set up a project. Now what the next step would be assigning the individual divisions or the tasks that we've created to individual users. So this is the project dashboard that you will see once you've managed to create a project. So I drew a polygon of this area. I splitted the area into squares, into a lot of squares. And now what I can do is I can click on individual task and assign individuals, so that they can just hop into the field and start mapping this area. So what is the advantage of doing the splits, and what is the other advantage of using FMTM is, now if somebody is already going into this area, will not be again going to the same area. So there would not be like duplication of data sets, and the users in the field, I mean the enumerators in the field, can coordinate well. So let's say I am going in this area, and a friend of mine is also going alongside, then he or she and me will not clash in between. Okay, this is my part and this is my part. We already have been assigned a separate task or separate divisions, so that we can uh, coordinate smooth in the field. So this is the next step, and this is the project dashboard where you can see the details you've added in, and you can also see the project AOI and all of the splits. Now the next step would be, for example, I have been assigned this area. Now whenever you click a task, you can see the number of buildings that is already there. Like these are the buildings that have been extracted from OSM when we were creating a project. So this particular task has this maybe like around 10 to 15 buildings, and whenever I click on it, it shows a pop-up on the side with a QR code. So like if you all are already familiar with the tasking manager application, then it is somewhat similar. So you just click on the task and you start mapping. So that means like whenever you click on task and start mapping, that means it is already logged by somebody. So you do not have to go to this area and do the field mapping again. So this is the overall workflow until assigning the users for the field mapping. Now, what is this with the QR code? So every task has a QR code generated, and whenever you download this QR code, now what you can do is now the workflow separates from the project managers to field mappers. So all of these stuffs that I've explained until now, all of those stuffs are being managed by the project managers. Now comes in the field mappers. So once the field mappers receive this QR code, what they can do is they can go to ODK Collect. So ODK Collect has two options, one with the configure with QR code and one would be the manually enter project details. So in order to mitigate this manual effort of entering the project details in ODK Collect, we have generated the QR code in FMTM so that it is easier for the users to proceed ahead. So you can just click on configure with QR code. You can scan the QR code you've just downloaded from FMTM, and then it automatically sets up the project that you have been assigned to. It automatically sets up the project along with the form that has been associated to the project. So that means whenever you click the start new form, you will see the form that was that was assigned when creating this project. So this way, the web platform and the ODK Collect is integrated in the FMTM workflow. So this is how, now this is how you start with working with the ODK Collect. Once you click on the start new form, you will see the questionnaires that have been provided by the project managers. You can start filling the questions and submit the data sets back to the server. So one of the other major applications, or maybe let's see a really good feature that we've integrated here is, so there is like a select from map feature. So you might be like wondering, where did the where did the OSM data extracts that we pulled during the project creation is being used in FMTM. Now this is the mobile view of the ODK Collect, where I click on start new form. So whenever I click on start new form, there's a question where it says select from map. So whenever you click that select from map feature, you will see a map interface as such. And whenever you see this map interface and you click on this second icon here, you'll see the same set of buildings that you see here. So what is happening is, you are already viewing the same buildings. So now your job is to actually um, field map all of these buildings that you see in your form. So that means I am assigned this particular task. I'm responsible for field mapping all of these buildings. So whenever I download my QR code and start a new form and click on the select from map option, then I will see the same cluster of buildings that I have to map. So you can just click on a building. So you'll have the option to just click on a building, select, and you will start filling in other different questionnaires. For example, I can start with the name, the area, contact number, the owner, and stuff like that, other questionnaires. So what it also what so the next advantage of using this select from map feature is, um, normally other field mapping mobile applications use the GPS locations to collect the spatial information during the field mapping. But here what we are doing is, we are actually selecting the building and then adding attributes, other further attributes for that building. That means you are accurately selecting a building and adding attributes to that specific building. So that reduces the discrepancy of GPS inaccuracy and stuff. So that this is the feature that ODK provides, and we've incorporated this into FMTM as such. So another major feature of FMTM also includes, you can also generate MB tiles so that you can load them into your mobile application and use it as a navigation tool. So for example, if you just see this view, you might be wondering, where do I start from, which street is this, and where am I standing? But if you already have like a overlay image, or maybe a satellite image or a drone image, then you can actually pinpoint where you're standing at. So for this as well, FMTM allows you to generate MB tiles based on different image sources. For example, you can use Esri, satellite imagery of ISRI, Bing, Google, Topo, or you can also use the custom TMS as well. So that means you do not have to generate any separate MB tiles using any other GIS softwares. You can just go select a tile source, uh, tile source, and you can just click on the select output format and just generate the MB tiles for that specific AOI. And you can just download it on your mobile application and just view it on the mobile application. So this way, what it helps is, you can actually identify which building you are going to survey, and it helps in easy navigation as well. So this is also a major feature that helps the field mappers to better understand the map and better evaluate the spatial accuracy of the mapping or the features that they are going to map. So this is basically the overall workflow, starting with the web application to the mobile application. And once you complete a survey in a building, you can just submit it and you can view the details in the FMTM back to the platform, web platform. So this is the part of the workflow from project managers to mobile mappers. And the next part again comes to the project managers. So what the project managers would be tracking during the entire surveys, the number of submissions that they are getting each day. So the project managers would want to track if they are if they are having like if they are already submitting enough number of submissions as per our deadline or not. So they can keep track of the field activities remotely via the remote supervision and the infographics dashboard that we have in FMTM. Similar to that, when the entire field mapping campaign is already completed, you can also download the final submissions and do the verification, data verification, and use it beyond just the survey, and use it for your other use cases as well. So during this process, not only the submissions, you can also download the form that you used, the splitted tasks that you generated, and also the data extracts. It could be OSM data extracts or the custom data extracts that you used while creating a project. So these are the different options that you can download from FMTM. Okay, I was just considerate of the time. So we're okay. So these are like the overall features that we have on FMTM that helps in coordinated field mapping. So this is like the another major concern that Miko also mentioned earlier was we would want to contribute all of those data sets back to the OSM database. If it's only being collected by a single user and is not available for other different users, then that would make a very less sense for the field mapping activities. So what we have also conceptualized here is, so there's a data conflation process. So once you already collect the data sets from the field, you push it back to the FMTM database. Now FMTM, what it does is, how does it connect back to the OSM database is the data collection process. That means you can directly download all of those, directly import all of those submissions from the field into JOSM. So once you have all of those data sets into JOSM, you can push the same submissions back to OSM. So that process is called the data conflation process, which we are trying to integrate in the further future features as well. So we started with extracting the data sets from the OSM database. We collected the attributes from the field, and we again are contributing back to the OSM database with lots of other attributes. So this is the entire workflow we are integrating in FMTM currently. So there are other different features that are yet to be developed. So for example, lots of user roles and permissions, monitoring the progress statistics, and there are lots of others, community level engagement that we require, so that we also receive feedbacks from the other different users who are using FMTM for different other scenarios. Because right now FMTM has been deployed in Dominica as a piloting project. It's also been used in Rwanda for mapping the flood resilient buildings, and it's also been used in Cameroon for road survey mapping. So we basically, like, road survey is something that is pretty not normal, and it is not like normally done using a mobile application. But in Cameroon, we also managed to do a road survey using the FMTM and ODK Collect. So similarly, we also have other use cases. For example, in Janakpur, Nepal, we used FMTM for the household survey. And just recently in Monrovia also, we've deployed FMTM. We've oriented on FMTM to map the informal settlements around the Monrovia as well. So these are the different FMTM deployments that we have. that we've done as a pilot project using the FMTM, and it has been a huge success. But we are yet to reach a stage where we can add in more better features to it as well. So I just like to shout out to entire teams, technical teams, OSM community, all the volunteers for making this happen. So they've been contributing through GitHub. It could be either documentations or the test cases or the development side as well. So all of them have been very supportive and collaborative in the development of FMTM. So basically, before I just conclude, so FMTM, what we've envisioned was, so there has always been a gap in data, and also how the data can be collected for a large number of group of people. So that is where we happen to conceptualize FMTM, and it has been uh, it has been like piloted in different other projects, and we're still getting lots of positive feedbacks and lots of suggestions that we can incorporate on FMTM as well. So we are thinking of using FMTM even broadly with a larger group of people for the coordinated field mapping campaigns as well. So that is the major objective of this FMTM tool. So if you would like to try a demo of FMTM for any such campaigns, then you can feel free to reach out to us, Ivan, Raw, Petya, or me myself, Susmina. And you can also not just be a user, but you can also contribute to different GitHub activities. There are lots of documentations that we are working on, and it's available on the FMTM wiki pages and FMTM GitHub repo that I guess you will be shared, that you can access via this presentation once shared as well. So I think this is all of the stuff that I wanted to cover with the coordinated field mapping stuff. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening to me throughout this presentation. I think we're also near time. Miko, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you, Susmina. So I think we're going to take an opportunity for this moment. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. Yeah, well, we're going to ask it to Susmina or Faye. But while we're waiting, Susmina, is it okay I ask you, like, is FMTM ready for community use? Like, for example, I have a group of
Mhm.
friends that we would want to map a small village
Yes.
here.
Mhm.
Can we just log into FMTM and create the project in something like that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Or does it
Yes,
need a lot
Miko.
of preparations?
No, like just recently on February, we've done like a beta release for FMTM. So yes, it is already available for the community to start with creating projects and going out in the field and start mapping. So anybody is welcome to use FMTM currently.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mark, feel free to put your question at the chat so that we can ask it to Sustina. Okay, any more questions for Susmina and Faye before we wrap things up? I think there was a question in Q&A. Let's me see. Laksha Jalal posted a comment in the Q&A. Doesn't it make more sense to divide the region into road areas, neighborhood shapes instead of grid? I think this was a while ago that you
Uh-huh.
were able to answer this, Susmina. Feel free to clarify.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. I suppose you mentioned like instead of dividing the area into squares, dividing it by road networks, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, of course. As I mentioned in the presentation as well, there are like three different ways you can split the entire area. So you can either use the division by squares, or there's also an algorithm called task splitting algorithm that actually divides the area based on the road networks. Along with it also incorporates a field where you can actually input the number of buildings you want per task. So that is the task splitting algorithm. One, if you would want to explore that, I think that would be the best. That would the best one that you would want to work with.
Okay, I think the questions are coming in, Susmina. I think we could extend a few more minutes. So, how do we
Yeah.
create our own form in FNTM based ODK? I just tried it, but the question in ODK already exists. Hello, Susmina. Hello, Susmina. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Miko. I just happened to drop out.
Okay, so Fikri asked, how do we create our own form in FMTM based on ODK?
Mm-hmm.
I just tried it, but the question in ODK already exists.
Huh. So you'll have to create an XLS form in the Google Sheets or maybe the Excel sheets if you already know more about the XLS forms. Otherwise, you can just go to the Kobo Collect web application, create a form, download the XLS form, and reuse it in the FMTM. So that is another way to use. Otherwise, there are also custom forms, I mean, like standard templates that we already have in FMTM. I hope it answered.
Thank you, Susmina. So another question is from Arnold. Can we configure FMTM with an PostgreSQL database?
Yes, actually, FMTM is pretty much like based on the Postgres SQL database. And if you would also want to maybe like set up FMTM in your local device as well, then we already have like a set of instructions that helps you all like pretty easily um, set up in your local servers as well. So maybe you can just go to github.com/fmtm hotosm/fmtm, then you can find it there. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Thank you, Susmina. Next question from Jan. Can an organization request for technical assistance from HOT or FMTM before jump starting their mapping project?
Yes, yes, for sure. You can just DM. As of now, we've not incorporated like a proper workflow for the requests, but you can surely reach out to us via the email addresses that we have. I think I can share it with Miko later on as well, and maybe he can pass it on. And you can just email us and reach out for the demo. We are there.
One last question, Susmina. Do you have presets for creating forms for data collection? I have had to assist in the cleaning up of data that has tags that do not meet OSM criteria.
I think. Can you maybe repeat Miko once?
Do you have presets for creating forms for data collection?
Uh-huh.
I have had to assist in cleaning up data that has tags that do not meet OSM criteria. This came from Ralph.
Presets of form, like we do have a set of forms, set of standard templates. For example, if you'd want to do like a building survey, then you can just click on the buildings and click on use existing form, then you'll see a different set of form. And you can also, like, if you click on another category, maybe education institution, then you'll and whenever you click on the use existing form, you'll see a different set of forms. So we do have like a preset of forms in the FMTM, but it may or may not like include all of the questionnaires that you would want to map from the field. So we also have the custom stuff as well.
Ralph, did was she able to answer the question? I made you a co-host. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ralph. So I think,
Thank you, Ralph.
yeah, I think we were able to answer all the questions, Susmina. So thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for this opportunity for you, Susmina, and for you, Faye. So for the participants, I would like to share this learner feedback form, because we, as much as we are very thankful to Susmina and Faye, we would love to, and the best way we could provide our thanks is through feedback to this learning session that they led. So I'm going to share it now. Feel free to just type in a message, or what do you think about the training, how we can improve these training sessions further. So yeah, please do check your chat box. The feedback form is there. So while you're answering the feedback form, I am going to share some quick announcements before we wrap up this webinar. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, some quick announcements. So currently we are at number 4 of our tech training series. So we still have number 5, 6, and 7. So that's 3 more trainings to go. We have accessing and visualizing open map data on the 12th of April. We have intro to basic QGIS analytics on the 19th of April, and QGIS for specific use case scenarios. Let me just get you that attendance form. Here you go. Yes. So feel free to register. The QR code is here, or visit our page at the Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. The links to register are there. We will also have our Ushahidi unveiled an introductory training for crowdsourced data collection by the Open Mapping gurus, Ponzi and Sheila. So this is one of the more underrated mapping platforms online. You can actually, this is mostly used for crowdsourcing map data. So feel free to register on the QR code on the link to join our training on the 29th of March. If you are looking for something to do over the weekend or next week or the following week, we have activated some project tasks: 15688, 15690, and 15973. We are updating the building and road data in 3 island nations in the Pacific that are very, very vulnerable to the effects of climate change, which is Vanuatu, Tonga, and Micronesia. So please feel free to jump in, map a bit, and contribute in completing these projects. Lastly, if you are in an NGO, a civil service organization, or academia, and you would want to know more about open mapping, OpenStreetMap, and these tools that Susmina and Faye has mentioned, we are hosting a free OSM training. So feel free to register in this QR code and schedule an opportunity with us to talk about a free 1.5 hour to 2 hour training with our open mapping gurus from the Asia Pacific region. So to know more about the tools that you've seen, feel free to jump on Slack. You can contact hotosm.slack.com and join the conversation. Feel free to tag Susmina is there, Faye is there, I'm there. Our tech experts are there. So feel free to just DM or contact us through Slack. And of course, feel free to reach out to us via email. You can reach our tech lead, lean.dehont@hotosm.org, or directly us contacting us at openmappinghub.ap@hotosm.org. So I think that's for now. Anything else that you would like to share? Susmina, Faye, any last words?
I think thank you, Miko, for being a wonderful host of the event, and thank you all of the participants for being here. And hope you all continue with the training series. And please feel free to reach out for any other queries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, Faye. Any last words?
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining tonight's session. Hope these resources are helpful for your data collection activities. If you need more, if you have more questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. I'll be stopping the recording now.